Okay, we are solving multi-step equations. The first one that we're going to look at is negative 2 plus 3 halves x plus 8 minus x equals negative 14. We have a lot going on in this problem, but the first thing I recommend is that you start circling things that can be combined. We call them like terms. Typically I like to circle my x's, so I've got this positive 3 halves x, then I have this negative x. And the important part about the circling process is that you remember to circle the sign in front of whatever number you've got. So I have these, and then I also have negative 2 and positive 8. And notice it's a different visual where I've gone ahead and boxed my constants, and then my terms that have a coefficient and a variable are going to be circled. Okay. Now with your calculator, you can go ahead and do whatever you want. If the math is difficult and the computation is what you get stuck on, then go ahead and plug this into your calculator. Easiest way here, I think, is to use some parentheses to do 3 divided by 2, rather than having to use the alpha y equals. And then the value here for this x is a negative 1. So I'm going to do 3 halves minus 1. So basically I've ignored my x's and dealt only with the coefficients, and enter. That leaves me with 0.5, or a half. And I guess I'll just use 0.5. But remember, it's x attached to it. Now I can deal with my constants. My constant, I have a negative 2 and a positive 8. You could easily put that in your calculator as negative 2 plus 8, but if you don't have a calculator, you could do the scoreboard method. So I'll take a moment to show you that. Negative nobodies, positive panthers. These 2 points belong to the nobodies, so they go over here. These 8 points belong to the panthers, so they go here. Just like a regular scoreboard, I am not going to combine these 2 scores together. I would say, hey, who won the game? Positive has won, and by how many points would be the second question, and that's when I would go ahead and subtract. So I end up with a positive 6 after combining these 2 terms together. So I bring that down. I'll bring down my equal sign, and I didn't do anything with the negative 14, so it stays there. Alright, now I literally have a 2-step equation. I know that it's a 2-step because I've got multiplication being shown right here, and I have addition being shown right here between terms. First step, I want to get rid of the constant, so I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. My 6's will cancel. I go ahead and bring my 0.5 or half x down, my equal sign, and then over here I have a negative 14 and a negative 6. So again, you could put it in your calculator as negative 14 minus 6 and get an answer, or scoreboard. Negative nobodies, positive panthers. We've got 14 points for the nobodies and 6 points. This is where we do go ahead and add these together, because it's like, let's say 14 points scored in the first inning and 6 points scored in the second. For that same team, we would be adding. And this is a negative 20, just like my calculator told me. And because my negative's 1, and because I've added these together. Okay, so 2 ways of doing it. Now I'm down to a 1-step problem. After I got rid of my constant, now I have to get rid of that coefficient. The coefficient is a 0.5 or a half. So I'm going to be dividing by 0.5. The point is to get that canceled, because the goal in algebra is to isolate that variable. Then you're looking to see how many times a half fits into 20. My bet says it's negative 40, but easily we can go negative 20 divided by 0.5, negative 40. Okay, and now if you're not quite sure if negative 40 really is the right answer, you could easily plug in negative 40 every time you see a letter X. And I can guarantee if you do this right, you're going to end up with a negative 14. Okay.